Dr. J.C. Cooley. That's right. It's the Cooley Show. It's your life. Dr. J.C. Cooley. All right.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 9 p.m. right here on The Answer San Diego. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley, and his guest will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 9 p.m. right here on The Answer San Diego.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on 660 AM The Answer in Dallas-Fort Worth. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore them or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley, and his guests will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on 660 AM The Answer in Dallas-Fort Worth.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on The Answer. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley and his guests will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on The Answer.
Yeah. Dr. J.C. Cooley. The J. Cooley Show. It's your life. Yeah.
Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley, but you know what today is? Today is 306 degrees. So our guest co-host is Dr. Michael Mantell, and I'm going to tell you right now, he done it again. He done invited another absolutely sensational guest that's going to educate us on a lot of things, and I am so excited to have her on the show. So how you doing, Dr. Mike? How you doing?
Doing very, very well. Beautiful day here in San Diego, and I hope it is where you folks are. And I can't keep track of where you are. You're moving around so much, but having fun doing it.
We're in Dallas right now, but I'll be back in San Diego tomorrow.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, we are going to have a great show. Our guest today speaks out for doctors and patients and a stronger healthcare system, which so many of us are concerned about. So can't be a more timely topic.
Absolutely. How you doing, Dr. Cooley? How you doing?
I'm doing great, James. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Doing wonderful today. So I am excited about this show, Michelle. I'm excited about guests. Can you do the honors and introduce the title of the show, the purpose of the show, and introduce this absolutely wonderful guest?
Okay. Well, the title, first of all, it's 360-degree Health Day. And the title of today's show is Why Stand Up for Doctors. And we're having a sit-down conversation with physical therapist and founder of Stand Up for Doctors, Kim Downey. She's going to talk about, the experience she's had, her bouts with cancer during the pandemic, the loss of physician to suicide, calling to support doctors, and her accomplishments over the past 2 years. So again, Kim Downey, she's the founder of Stand Up for Doctors. She's a physical therapist, 3-time cancer survivor, and a fierce advocate for physician well-being. As an ambassador for the Dr. Lorna Breen Heroes Foundation and community ambassador for Medicine Forward, she brings deep insight into both the clinical and human sides of medicine. She amplifies the voices of doctors and patients, addressing challenges like burnout, moral injury, and loss of autonomy. Kim's mission is to foster connection and advocacy for healthier doctors and a stronger healthcare system. Please welcome to the show, Kim Downey.
How you doing, Kim?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for this honor. I'm excited to be here.
We're excited.
We're delighted to have you, and I hope that introduction gave you some good energy today.
It sure did.
So I'm going to ask the first question. Can you tell our viewers and our listeners a little bit more about you? What makes you click? Why you're so passionate about the things that you're doing? And I know that you're doing a million different things, and we're going to talk about, you got a book coming out real soon. But can you just tell us a little bit more about you?
Sure. I'll give you a very brief history about myself. So I'm a pediatric physical therapist by training, and I was working in a local elementary school, and I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer, and I had surgery in November 2020, and 3 of my parathyroids were accidentally removed, and that caused a series of complications with calcium regulation and kidney function. And I experienced some other issues. And the next summer, I blacked out and fell and hit my head. And it turns out I had Lyme disease, a concussion, thoracic outlet syndrome, a whiplash injury, and a broken toe. So I went to 4 months of physical therapy. They think low calcium caused a cardiac arrhythmia. And then I was having neck issues and dizziness. So the physical therapist had me in good shape by December 29th, 2021. But the next day I was back on the operating table because we just found out I had breast cancer. So I had surgery and a month of radiation for that. And then I needed another MRI. And it turns out I had breast cancer on the other side. So then I needed another surgery and another month of radiation. So it was 2 years of constant medical issues. I'm only giving you like the bare minimum. And but I had an incredible radiologist. And my first article, a Kevin MD article, is a tribute article to my radiologist. And so by October of 2022, after 2 years of these constant issues, I thought I was finally going to have a routine visit because I kept thinking one more thing and then I'll be done, one more thing and I'll get back to my regular life. And having this all happen during the pandemic, incredibly complicated every healthcare encounter, as you can imagine. So I showed up and I was looking forward to seeing my doctor, and he wasn't there. When I asked where he was, they said that he had died a month ago. And I was so shocked. I actually said, "Are you joking?" And they said no. And I said, "What happened?" And they didn't know. And in that moment, I knew he had taken his own life, and I fell apart. I couldn't stop crying. I couldn't stop shaking. My arms and legs went numb, and they actually found something else that day that was moderately suspicious for cancer. And I remember when the radiologist told me, I was thinking, if she only told me I had a week to live, I wouldn't be any more upset. Like all my resilience at that point, I'm generally a positive person, but I was running on fumes. But around that time, I felt a calling to support doctors, and that's what I do.
Wow. I am breathless. I don't think in all the broadcasts we have had an opening that is so engaging, magnetic, and compelling. And I just want to tell you, prayers for you for continued healing and recovery, and no more illness.
Well, I could add something else onto that. The tamoxifen they put me on to reduce recurrence of the breast cancers damaged my uterus, and I had to have a total hysterectomy a few months ago. So it doesn't end. I said it's like the worst version of if you give a mouse a cookie. It's like, it's like once you're treated for cancer, they're saving you, but then also you end up with a lot of other complications.
Michelle, JC, I can't think of a better equipped guest to talk about the topic we're going to be talking about today. You have been, in a weird way, these experiences have enabled you to start an organization, Stand Up for Doctors. And wow. So tell us about Stand Up for Doctors. When you've been through all these things and so forth, and the loss of a doctor, and mistakes and all that, still you have the energy to create Stand Up for Doctors. We'll talk about the book in a moment, but tell us about Stand Up for Doctors.
Sure. How it all happened. So after my surgeon, my radiologist, if you get to read the article, had performed what I call a couple feats of miraculous technical skill on me, and that's why my first surgery was successful. So after that, I sent him and my surgeon thank you notes, and I had never sent a doctor a thank you note. And then I sent all my doctors thank you notes because I know how difficult things are. Being a physical therapist, I had been through some of them. And so I tried to reach out to my local healthcare system because I wanted to support doctors. So I tried for 18 months and it didn't go anywhere. But then that spring, Dr. Michael Hirsch, who you've had on, his Better Physician Life blog randomly showed up in my Facebook feed. So randomly. I clicked. Yeah, it was God or the universe, right?
Right, absolutely.
So, yeah, it really was. So, because why would it show up? And also, why would I click on it? So I did. And even though he writes it for physicians, they're human things. And he would pair it with a music video and he nailed it. And they were so good. I saw he dropped them on Wednesdays. So every Wednesday for the rest of that year, I went to his blog site to read his blogs. So then my doctor died in October and I wasn't doing well inside my head. And then that December, he shared that he was celebrating his year of blogging. So again, I'd never done anything like this. I randomly sent him a private Facebook message congratulating him and saying that I've even used a couple as devotions for my women's fellowship group. And he wrote me the nicest message back and we kept communicating and he just seemed so nice. I thought if I tell him the story, maybe I'll feel better. So I asked if I could talk to him and he said, I'd love to have a conversation. So we hopped on a Zoom and we just kept going, after that. And then he became my coach. And then to kind of wrap up this part, he hooked me up on LinkedIn, spring of 2023. And shortly after that, Michael, you and I connected.
No, it's amazing. What a small, and now based on a post you just put up, he connected and Adam Harrison connected, and we hope to have him on the show very soon. So It's become a small world. Michelle, tell us, what's on your mind?
Well, we're getting ready to take a break in about a minute, but Kim, you definitely started off strong, and just, the audience is going to learn more about Stand Up, why you stand up for doctors and the history behind that. So James, you want to say something before we go to break?
We're going to have to take a station break, but we're going to come back. We're going to get off into this conversation a little bit deeper. I tell you, whichever platform that you're watching us on, whether you're watching us on E36 television, Transfer TV, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Rumble, and over 80 other platforms, welcome to the show. If you want to be part of this conversation, all you have to do is go to the platform that you're watching us on, to the comments, ask any question that you might have. I promise you we'll get you an answer. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
Cooley Show. It's your life. Dr. James JC Cooley.
Ready? to get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? And everything that you do. Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and that's, like I mentioned to you, 360-degree health, Dr. Michael Mantell. And we got a special guest on, Kim Dorsey. And I tell you what, Downey, I messed up your name. But I was so touched in that first segment when you was telling about some of the challenges that you had. And that Dr. Mike and I and other guests have talked about some doctors that have challenges as well, because we as patients sometimes think that the doctor knows everything. He's not going through a whole lot of pressure, but that's not true. And so I think we're going to get off into a whole lot of those things. I want to say something that I did have thyroid cancer as well, but I did not take the surgery. I did the radioactive iodine and all that other stuff that goes along with that.
Well, you know what? I needed that too because the margin was positive, and we thought my vocal cord was paralyzed for a couple of months. So I didn't tell you all the details, but I'm glad you're okay.
Okay, I got a question, and I'm turning back over to Dr. Mike and Michelle. So can you tell us the core mission or your message from your organization, Stand Up for Doctors? What is the core mission of that?
Sure. So I came up with the name because once I got connected on LinkedIn, I started reaching out to doctors, hoping they could help me help my own doctors. And then I started helping them. And some people told me that they thought I should have a YouTube channel because I had a unique voice as a patient and being in the healthcare system and understanding the perspective of doctors. So the title Stand Up for Doctors, when I'm interviewing doctors, I'm saying stand up doctors and raise your voice. And the 4 is in parentheses because when I'm interviewing others that intersect with healthcare, I'm telling them to stand up for doctors.
Well, Kim, so you're an advocate, basically Stand Up for Doctors. You're advocating for the health, I'm talking about mental health and physical health for doctors as well, medical professionals. I'm sure it was a series of events and experiences in your life that made you want to do this. Tell us, I guess, the backstory of how you started this all. I mean, your experiences, they convinced you to do this, but how do you do something like this? How do you start a movement, an organization such as this? Can you tell the audience about that?
Well, I feel like, Dr. Michael Hirsch again has just been with me all the way. And the first thing that happened is he was coaching me, and I was still so upset about my doctor. One day, that spring of 2023, he says, "Why don't you take the day and write something down about him?" So I did, and he said, "This is really good. You should submit it to Kevin MD." And I did, and he accepted it. And then that was my very first podcast, because I'm like, okay, everybody's going to know what a great caring radiologist he was. And then I wrote an article about the benefits of coaching for physicians and Michael. And then I wrote a couple more, kind of to stand up for doctors without using that name. And then doctors started reaching out to me that they wanted to collaborate on articles. And that's why now I've published over 24 collaborative articles. And then, Kevin MD has me on every month because I bring different voices that intersect with healthcare. And then after Michael connected me on LinkedIn, and I started talking to doctors, and then I was connecting with more and more doctors. So before that, I had less than 150 connections, no more doctors, and I never ever went on LinkedIn. And as of today, I have over like 13,000, and it's just about all doctors. So it was just kind of one step at a time, and Michael's been there to support me. And it was he that said, when somebody said I should start a podcast, and I'm like, oh, I don't have a website, I don't have this. He's like, you could just start a YouTube channel. And within 3 weeks, I was interviewing my first guest, Dr. Todd Otten. And then I was sending my own doctors updates on what I was trying to do for them. And then that turned into a Substack newsletter. And it just seemed to snowball.
So, Kim, lots of people listening to this are thinking, I don't know, I go to my doctor, everything seems fine. I go home and everything's good, and they don't think about it. Educate our audience about what doctors are experiencing today that make it such a difficult time in the healthcare system for physicians.
Sure. And Dr. Kathy Stepien says everyone wins when physicians are well. And that's practically become my mantra. And what a lot of people don't understand is even the culture has to change in medical school, because they're trained from back then to compete against each other for, admission to the best, medical schools, then the best residency, then the best attending positions. And they're also trained to put that the patient always comes first, and to defer their own personal needs, whether it's even sleep. They have those, they used to have even more than 80-hour work weeks. And then they might go 12 hours without food. There's patients to be seen, or there are surgery, and literally even going to the bathroom. So over time, even once they become an attending, they're so used to putting themselves last for the betterment of the patient, but the detriment to themselves. Sometimes they lose a sense of themselves, and sometimes they don't even know like what they enjoy anymore. They lose their hobbies. They lose, a sense of themselves. And then the loss of autonomy. They want to do right by you, but it may get very disturbed when they can't do that. So for instance, if they know the medication they want to order for you that'll help you, and then they have to order a couple other ones that won't work.
Right. And so the average patient doesn't take a moment to think about this, because we talk to people all the time. They'll say, well, no, she or he became a doctor and they knew what they were signing up for, and I don't care about all that. Why should the patient care?
Right. Well, first of all, this isn't what they signed up for. They signed up to help patients, and now they have so many administrative burdens, and they spend more time looking at a screen than helping, the patients. And you have to care about your doctor, because if they're burnt out or depressed or not doing well, they can't give you the best care, and there's medical errors are more likely to happen, and all of that.
I don't think the average patient understands that the physicians I take care of tell me the same story. I'm up till 2:00 in the morning with Epic and writing and notes and electronic, and I don't have time to. And then I got to be in the office at 7:00. People don't appreciate this. So thank you for taking the heartfelt effort to create Stand Up for Doctors. Now, I guess another big offering you're bringing to all of us on June 9th, you're bringing a book to us, and you have the book with you. White Coats, Courageous Hearts. There it is. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful book. We're getting a glimpse before anyone else does. And tell us a little bit about this book.
Sure. So Michael and I had talked one time about, because so many people, because it's a kind of an unusual story, have told me in the past couple of years, oh, you should write a book. Oh, you should write a book. And I've had some unfortunate things happen. It hasn't all been good. Like, I have amazing doctors, but it wasn't all good. And I didn't want to call out any doctors that I had poor experiences with, but I didn't feel like I could only tell the good parts. So I felt like for that reason, I wouldn't write a book. And Michael said, well, what I do is amplify other doctors, that it could be like a compilation book. So I had that in my mind, but I don't think I would have the time to do it. But Emmy Vita Estachio, she started helping. I'm involved with Medicine Forward with their newsletter. And I thanked her, and we started talking. And she is a health psychologist who helps people publish books. And she's like, I can help you. So we reached out to the first 20 doctors who had been guests on my YouTube channel. And 15 said yes. And the other ones wrote beautiful endorsements for the book on the inside. And Dr. Michael Hirsch writes the foreword and a chapter. And so these are just beautiful stories. There's 3 sections, from pain to purpose, unique roles, shared challenges, and reimagining medicine together. And they're just raw, honest stories of what it's like to be a doctor today.
Wow. Michelle, we're going to have to get a copy of this book.
And Kevin MD writes the endorsement on the back, and he writes a beautiful, beautiful endorsement on the back.
You know what? You have opened a floodgates of people reaching out to you, because it's like, wow, we have someone who's in our corner, somebody who understands. A patient, starting as a patient who is sympathetic, not because of her own doctor, but her experiences. And sometimes, like, I think about some of the doctors I've had in the past. This one was grumpy. I'm like, well, maybe he's overworked or underappreciated. You never know what someone is going through. And we want to help the medical professionals. What are your thoughts on that, Kim?
100% that we never know, and everyone has experienced trauma, and we're all interacting with each other's trauma. So sometimes healthcare leaders aren't sympathetic to their physicians because they're maybe not even acknowledging their own trauma. And then doctors too, they're humans. And my friend Pat Dunstan, she was a nurse who became a lawyer and had to quit because of Parkinson's. And she said doctors are expected to be superhuman and not complain because of their salaries. A lot of people don't have empathy for them because they think a doctor's life would be the ultimate.
Yeah, amazing. So a client of mine today told me, literally in the session, he said, I'm sure that, everything with you goes perfectly because you're here to take care of me. I looked at I was off phone session. I looked at, is she kidding me? We're human beings, right? We're human beings. I want to know about the title, White Coats, Courageous Hearts. How did you come up with that title? And what does it mean to you?
Well, it's interesting. So Emmy has published her own books, and we spent a session going through like some kind of a search engine optimization type thing, and we came up with a couple titles and subtitles, and none felt quite right. So we actually reached out to the 15 doctors, and we're like, give us some feedback. So then we compiled all that feedback and reworked it. And what's so interesting is the title or subtitle was not in our original idea, but I had said to Michael is once I reached 10,000 followers, I was going to write a book to celebrate doctors and call it 10,000 White Coats. So I love here that it ended up that the title is White Coats and then Courageous Hearts, because we do want to offer a message of hope, and we wanted it to be positive. And that's why the subtitle is, True Stories of Doctors Reclaiming Their Humanity in a System That Challenges It. And they have the courage to share their stories and their emotional vulnerabilities in this book.
Were there any submissions that you received that moved you deeply or surprised you in ways that you didn't expect to hear about?
Well, so since I know all of the doctors and we had personal conversations, but just some of them share in here like about their miscarriages, and I didn't know that they had miscarriage until they submitted the chapter, and I had two, so I had a couple also, so I felt I could identify with them. And then one shared some issues, with alcohol herself, and she said she didn't even know that was going to be part of the book until she wrote it herself. So just, things like that they were willing to share some of their own struggles and bits and pieces of themselves, because, when you put a light on shame, that takes away the shame. And also, so it's healing for the doctors. And then they know, I say every time a doctor shares their story, another doctor feels less alone. So then they know that they're helping their colleagues. So it's healing for them, and they know that they're going to help their colleagues.
We have less than a minute, but the question I want to focus in on is, why do you think that mental health remains such a taboo in many parts of the medical community? I'm not sure we're going to have time to get into that, JC.
Can you hold that question to after the break? Because I'm interested in hearing an answer on that one. I tell you what, all this information that Kim is putting out, and it's so valuable, and she worked with 15 to 20 doctors on her book, and we're going to take a break right now, but we're going to come back and we're going to talk about a lot more of this. And I tell you what, if you want to be part of this conversation, whichever platform that you're watching us on, just go to the comments, ask any question that you might have. I promise you, we'll get you an answer. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
Dr. James, JC, Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life.
Welcome to Veridian Christian University, where faith and learning come together to transform lives. At VCU, we believe that education is more than just academics. It's about fostering a community of growth, integrity, and purpose. Whether you're pursuing a bachelor's, master's, or doctorate, VCU offers flexible, affordable, and 100% online degree programs that cater to your busy life. Our innovative platform provides a personalized learning experience, empowering you to thrive in today's ever-evolving world. Join a global community of learners guided by an experienced faculty who are committed to your success. With VCU, you're not just earning a degree, you're preparing for a future that integrates faith, leadership, and service. Veridian Christian University, educating with purpose, transforming lives. Learn more at VeridianChristianUniversity.com. VeridianChristianUniversity.com.
A Black Man's Point of View is the newest Amazon.com #1 release and bestseller book from author Dr. James J.C. Cooley, featuring the perspective from 11 other contributing authors. In A Black Man's Point of View, Dr. James Cooley unpacks his thoughts and personal experiences about the challenges, stereotypes, and feelings of self-worth that many black men face today due to a 400-year ancestry rooted in slavery and colonization. Yet, how so many black men move forward despite this history. Most importantly, A Black Man's Point of View conveys that all men, regardless of race, creed, or color, are capable of love, respect, and dignity. Described as a map to a greater life from the heart of a man who's experienced life's misfortune and harsh conditions, James shows us how beliefs, convictions, and a healthy mentality can help propel a life worth living. A must-read for all. Order your copy of A Black Man's Point of View by author Dr. James J.C. Cooley today from Amazon.com or wherever books are sold.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I tell you, 360-degree health. I know, I'm looking at the numbers. I see a whole lot of people watching us, but they ain't asking no questions. Dr. Mike, they're not answering questions.
They are paying attention and they're listening.
I want to get back to this. Dr. Mike, you was asking a question right before the break. Can you repeat the question, and let's get back to Kim?
Absolutely. Kim, you are humanizing healthcare. You're bringing that addition to the patient experience, and I think that's so important. But one of the things that I see in the field is that mental health of physicians remains a taboo in lots of areas in the medical community. In your work in this book and in your organization, Stand Up for Doctors, why do you think it's such a taboo?
Sure. Well, to start with, mental health, period, not just necessarily for doctors, right, has kind of been taboo. But I do feel like the pandemic did open it in some ways. And I feel like that more people are talking about it and there's less stigma both inside and outside of medicine. But part of the doctors have extra issues, and some of that is even internal shame that they feel like they're supposed to be perfect or they're really smart and that they should be able to figure this out themselves, and they're ashamed and embarrassed to seek help.
Now, you're a pediatric physical therapist. I suspect you deal with youngsters who probably think the same way. I'm embarrassed that I have this injury. Other kids are going to laugh at me. I'm less than. I can't compete. How do you bring that to your work with youngsters? I know it's not a question about stand up for doctors,
Sure.
but it's an important issue.
Right. Well, I did leave my practice during, my health challenges, but the little kids just want to do what the other kids are doing. So when early on they don't internalize that or shame, but it is sad at the very young ages where other kids might point things out to them that you're slower or things like that. So I just made sure that they are always, proud to be themselves.
Yeah. The message that I share with my clients is you are not your disease.
Right.
You are a person who has this disease or this difficulty or this challenge, but don't start labeling yourself.
Right.
You mentioned medical education and your work with so many physicians. You are all over the healthcare industry, podcasts, interviews, writing, and so forth. What do you get about medical training that you think needs to change in order to help prevent, on the early side, prevent burnout and all these other issues?
Sure. Well, some of it is educating med students and residents about things like imposter syndrome, because lots of times they feel like they should know everything and they almost feel like a fraud, like that they're going to get found out, that they don't know everything. So they need to know that imposter syndrome is a real thing and, not to internalize that. And also, they learn not to set boundaries. They're taught to say yes to everything, to never say no. And that's not true. They need to learn how to set healthy boundaries. So it's things like that and also that Dr. Joe Sherman, I had him on my podcast, and he said, because there's on medical licensing on the back, you have to answer a question. And Dr. Lorna Breen Heroes Foundation is trying to remove the intrusive questions about, have you ever sought, mental health help? But Dr. Joe Sherman says the next question should be, and if not, why not? Because they have to deal with suffering and death on a daily basis, and they need support. So they need to be educated in that way, but also and to receive support from the attendings modeling it, because lots of times there's within the medical culture is a lot of shame and trauma and bullying, from the higher up residents and from attendings, and it needs to be a supportive environment, not a punitive one.
Mm-hmm. With the doctor-patient atmosphere, and a lot of times, like Michelle mentioned a few minutes ago, the doctor seems so unpleasant. What advice how can patients recognize when they are being dismissed, and what should they do in this situation?
Sure. So I've found that, a few times myself, and sometimes, you're even embarrassed, ashamed, or humiliated, depending on what happens in the situation. So sometimes I give them grace and think, okay, maybe they're having a really bad day, and I'm still trying to treat them with kindness, and then I will go back. But if I have a couple visits, 2 or 3, and it's not that, then I can, wish them well. But I'm fortunate to live in the Northeast, and I have, options when it comes to doctors.
It's really important for patients. Like you said, patients, it's okay, we give them grace, but we also have to be, even if the doctor or the medical professional is not having a bad day, we have to be patient. As patients, we do have to be patient when they're explaining things to us. Some of us are upset or angry or just frustrated about whatever medical issues we're coming to them for. Doctors are human beings. They have feelings too. They don't want anyone yelling at them or making it seem like they don't know what they're talking about. How is, in your podcast or in your book, how do you address, or if you do address, how patients can be more understanding and considerate with medical professionals?
Yes, well, I've discussed this in some of the episodes on my YouTube channel, and simultaneously, as you're saying, like, patients do need to advocate for themselves, and you can't trust, like, your doctor can't know everything about everything. Like, they shouldn't think that of themselves, and we shouldn't think that of them. So as a patient, you actually have a responsibility to learn about your own conditions and to advocate for yourself. And I just interviewed, I haven't even published it yet, 2 nurses, and one of them is Mindy Spiegel, and she wrote a book, There's a Snake on My Head. And what that means is, even if you're not afraid of snakes, if someone told you, like, there's a rattlesnake on your head, right, you would be distracted by that, right? Who wouldn't? And that's the thing, is when you go, speaking to what Michelle just said, if you go to a doctor appointment and you're concerned, like, or who's going to pick up my kids from daycare, or, oh my gosh, how am I going to afford this cancer treatment? Sometimes you can't really hear or process what the doctor is saying. So whenever you can, you should bring someone with you, and and that will help, and take notes, and also just treat others. If we all just treated others with kindness and respect, that would go a very long way.
It's interesting. There's a movement now in healthcare for doctors to start accepting AI. And I know I see some doctors on their opening page, when patient fills out a new form, do you have any questions that you've asked chat or one of these things? And please, if so, tell me what. The doctor's saying, I'm open. I don't know everything. Let's see what you've learned and we can discuss it. Boy, does that improve the doctor-patient relationship. So, Kim, I have a question about the stand up for doctors and about the book. What was the most emotionally challenging part of bringing Stand Up for Doctors and the book to life? What was the most emotionally challenging for you?
Well, I think maybe deciding because I wrote the introduction in the first chapter. So just personally reliving that, and, and I dedicate the book to my doctor, and I never, I have, his memorial card picture on my bulletin board in front of me right now. And above it, I've written, I'm meant to support them. So just the whole time to make sure that I'm sharing this with integrity, and he's my why. And I share that in the book, because a lot of times, even doctors, I say this in the book, they'll ask me, why doctors? I'm a physical therapist. Plus, I've had cancer all these times. Why do I spend my time advocating for doctors? And I'm like, he's my why. So it was my own parts, really, to decide how much to disclose, and just reliving it all to write it.
So what do you hope medical students, for example, and physicians who read the book and who are engaged in Stand Up for Doctors take away for themselves?
Well, in particular, speaking to like med students, Dr. Amna Shabir writes a chapter about like early career physicians. So each chapter, and especially hers, might resonate with some of them. So very early in their training, they'll know to expect these things and that this is normal. And also, if you are feeling burnt out, or they say in here that seeking help is strength. It's not a weakness, and it really, really is. So to have that message here for either people in training, or I have a retired anesthesiologist, wrote a chapter. So for all doctors, because I say every time a doctor shares their story, another doctor feels less alone. And Michael Hirsch writes in the foreword how he saw parts of himself in almost all of these chapters. So it's validating for the doctor. So when, med students, they can be prepared and say, okay, this is a hard road in some ways that they don't anticipate, but they can shore themselves up for that. Other doctors can say, yes, me too. I can get help. I can reach out to these doctors, and at the end, there's a QR code, where you can reach every single doctor at the,
Fantastic.
at the end.
Fantastic. So it's a conversation starter. It's a teaching tool. It's a source of comfort. What a wonderful, wonderful offering.
And then for patients, that they can read this and learn what's happening behind the white. It's the hearts behind the white coats.
Yeah.
And so it's educating. So that's why I think and it's so readable. It's not technical at all. So I feel like it'll be beautiful and read almost like a chicken soup for the soul type thing.
I'll tell you what, hold those thoughts. We're going to take another station break. But we're going to come back. We're going to continue this great conversation. And I tell you what, for the people out there watching, it ain't too late. If you want to be part of this conversation, all you have to do is go to the comments on the platform that you're watching us on, ask any question that you might have. I promise you we'll get you an answer. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
The future is here.
Now is the time to pursue the greatness in you. Welcome to Viridian Christian University, where faith meets future. We are a fully accredited, 100% online Christian university. We offer bachelor's degree, master's and doctorate degree programs, built for students like you. Affordable tuitions, 30+ degree programs, 100% online and flexible. Integrating faith with learning. Study from anywhere at your pace. At VCU, we do not just prepare you for a degree. We prepare you for purpose. Discover who you are. Grow in faith. And build a future that impacts the world.
Are you ready to start your journey today?
Visit www.viridianchristianuniversity.com.
Apply today and be among the global leaders.
It's the James Cooley Show. It's your life. Dr. James J.C. Cooley. Yeah. Come on. The James Cooley Show. It's your life. That's right.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. And just like Wednesday's 306-degree health, Dr. Mike, you knocked it out the park again. I want to invite this young lady back on the show a future date if she have time. And if her schedule permits, because she is putting out so much valuable information that we all, either as a professional, doctors or patients, this conversation that we're having today benefits everyone. So, Kim, if you have time in your schedule later on, we would love to have you back. But wow, this is so remarkable. And I know that our viewers and our listeners are getting a whole lot from this discussion that we're having today. So I'm going to open up with the first question. Everything that you write in your book and your chapters and with patients and with doctors, what type of response have you received from the public on your writings and the things that you suggest in your book?
Sure. Well, the book itself isn't going to be launched until Monday, so we have a few days away from the official launch. But when I talk to the doctors, they just appreciate so much. I guess I'm kind of like their cheerleader, and they sometimes almost can't believe it, or just that there's somebody else who knows and gets it and understands. And I'm not exaggerating when I say they fill my whole heart every single day. Like every time I'm on LinkedIn, doctors are thanking me. And I'm like, who in the universe has doctors thanking them every day? And so they are in my heart all the time. And the doctors, if they, that they trust me to share their stories, that they come on my YouTube channel. And so they fill my heart. And then when I collaborate on the Kevin MD articles, it's with doctors, but it's also with one wife who lost her husband to suicide. And we did a Kevin MD article, or just other people that intersect with healthcare. And I had on my show the spouses of physicians, and then they got to raise their voices and say what it's like it's a life of sacrifice, not only for the doctor, but for the whole medical family. So I think they, anyone who's in healthcare just appreciates that I'm raising awareness about it. And then other people just seem kind of surprised and say that they didn't know. And then lots of times it does change what they do. And so many times, like, people have said to me, oh, I saw my doctor today and I made sure to say thank you, or I'm going to send, my doctor a thank you note, and it's because of you. And one person told me they had a conversation, like, she as a doctor, and she shared with this other person, oh, I think our doctor has cancer. And the other person's first response was like, oh my gosh, what about my medical appointment that's coming up? Like, they were only thinking of themselves. So then my friend was able to spotlight, well, this is pretty concerning for the doctor, to kind of humanize it. And then I just saw her yesterday, and she told me that the next time she saw that person, that she seemed much more sensitive to the doctor's, point of view. So I feel like it's making ripples of change.
You've alluded to your YouTube channel. Tell us about that and how people can connect to it.
Sure. So it's on YouTube, and it's called Stand Up for Doctors. And I had started by Dr. Todd Otten. He wrote the book Ripple of Change, and they started a podcast, Ripple of Change, with his patient Joshua Judy, and I was his first guest. So then he was mine, and then I write the first chapter, and he writes the second chapter. So it's another one of those full circle moments. And then I kept going, and I was interviewing Dr. Singley. But then, people call me a super connector. Like, if I talk to a doctor, I seem to know who they'd want to be connected with, and I connect doctors around the world. So then I thought it would be great to pair them up. So for the past little over a year, I generally pair people up for a richer conversation. And lots of times it just seemed like they were meant to, be together. And then sometimes they go on to form a relationship or to support each other's work.
That's beautiful. That's magnificent. I just love the fact that all these things keep coming together with a higher purpose. So do you see a movement beginning, not necessarily beginning, because it's people have been writing about this for a while, but do you see a movement in healthcare towards greater authenticity and emotional wellness?
I mean, I think so. So in the 2 years I've been on LinkedIn, more and more doctors are willing to be vulnerable. And again, we're saying vulnerability is a strength to talk about these things. So I do think, in that regard, that the needle is moving.
Yeah. And so are you considering a follow-up for nurses and others on the front line of healthcare?
Well, like, nurses have said, oh, we need one of you in our corner. Yeah. And I've had an idea of almost having like an international Stand Up for Doctors coalition of doctors and patients around the world, or even a march of doctors and patients. Because they say that a lot of when we've had big changes, like the civil rights movement or women's right to vote, right, it required a large, a march on DC. So right. I've had ideas like that, and I'm willing to connect. So I'm involved with organizations like Healthcare Reinvention Collaborative, and they're trying to connect the change makers. So through that, I can help people get connected for nurses and pharmacists. But I know for myself, I feel like I'm focusing on doctors, so, and because we have to care for the well-being of everyone. We really do, for each other. And the janitor is just as important as anybody else, like truly in the hospital. Like if the OR isn't cleaned, the surgeon can't do their surgery. And if I'm in the hospital or if a relative is, I say is thank you to every person who comes in the room.
So real quickly, you have been talking about you've been involved, I should say, with stories about courage. Real quickly, because I have another question after this. We only have a couple minutes left. What does courage mean to you?
Wow. I think it is almost similar to resilience. And resilience, I feel like, means going through like a challenging time and coming out stronger. So courage, kind of related, I think, means doing something that you need to do or think you should do or want to do, even when it's hard and scary. And that can be emotional, vulnerability.
Yeah, well, you speak from the heart. I love it. Kim, if there's one message, one takeaway that you want to leave our audience with, what would it be?
Thank a doctor. I wanted to make a really big impact for Doctors Day, which was March 30th. So if you can put that on your calendar for and any day is a good day to thank a doctor. And without getting into details, I had a doctor on my YouTube channel with Dawn Veselka. She started this program called Cards to Warriors, where she sends cards to patients and caregivers to give them a boost. And because of me, we collaborate on a Kevin Empty article and podcast. And on Doctors Day, she launched a Thank Your Favorite Medical Warrior. And now she has these cards available. And so cardstowarriors.org, if you go onto that website, she'll send you a free card. If you're either a patient or a caregiver or want to send a card to someone who's made an impact in your life.
Wow. This has been so incredible. Dr. Mike, you got to get it back on.
I want to bring Kim and Dr. Michael Hirsch together.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That would be great.
Right, Michelle? Let's do that.
That would be great.
We have this joke that we want to get on the Today Show together. So, but if we came out here, that would be even better.
This is the Tomorrow Show.
Yeah.
You know what? I want to, hey, Dr. Mike, thanks again for bringing this.
Always a privilege.
And Kim, thanks so much. Thanks so much. I love the enthusiasm. I love how you inspire others. So thanks so much. Keep up the great work. Dr. Michelle Cooley, thank you so much for putting together another absolutely fantastic show. Most importantly, I'd like to thank our viewers and listeners out there for tuning into the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life, Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Always, always dream big, think big, and be big. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. It's Your Life, and we'll see you then.